Good morning. The topic for today is management of malignancies of oral maxillofacial region. So during this class, you'll be knowing more about your basics of what is malignancy, their site of distribution, the TNM staging, their clinical presentation, radiological presentation, and how we are going to treat will be dealt in the next class. So this will be covered in two parts. So the learning outcomes for this class is to recognize the oral cancer presenting with various stages at various sites in the mouth, describe the principles of staging of oral cancer and how the stage of cancer affects the treatment and prognosis, describe the advantages and disadvantages of various treatment methods for various stages, classify the cervical lymph nodes and various neck dissections available for management of cervical lymph node metastasis. What is oral cancer? So it's an abnormal neoplasm of the mouth. It is found and it is usually of squamous cell type. The people over the age of 40 are at risk. If you are a heavy smoker and drinker, mostly alcoholic, are at risk. People with HPV 16 and HPV 18 are at slightly high risk. The site, you can see the various regions which is marked with various different colors. It can occur in lip, tongue, floor of the mouth, gingiva, buccal mucosa, retromolar trigone, and hard palate. So these are the various sites the oral cancer can be present, and this is the percentage of distribution. If you see this, the tongue has got the more common or the majority of the distribution in the oral cavity, followed with the floor of the mouth, retromolar trigone, hard palate, gum, and buccal mucosa. These are the histological distribution. So not only squamous cell carcinoma is going to be exhibited in the oral cavity, there are also other minor salivary gland carcinomas, melanomas, lymphomas, and sarcomas can also be seen. Only a histopathological diagnosis can be confirming what type of carcinoma it is going to be. So you can see in the pie diagram, the majority of them are going to be squamous cell carcinoma, followed by minor salivary gland carcinoma, which is going to be a mucoepidermal carcinoma, and so on. So ethnic variations of oral cancer incidence per 100,000 population in Malaysia. So you know the races that are present here. So the male is to female, the percentage are seen. So you can see the Indian population has got the maximum, which is marked in red, more commonly with male with 5.2%, followed by female with 7.7%. So how does the clinical presentation of a carcinoma is going to be? So they are more sores that do not heal. It can be a lump, it can be white or red patch. There is usually bleeding, painless, or numbness will be present. Pain also can be exhibited. The more commonly due to the ill-fitting denture that causes irritation, which can have a dysplastic change. The patient commonly exhibits difficulty in speech and mastication if the stage of the cancer is going to be stage 3. There can be trismus when there is metastasis to the adjacent structures. There can be loose tissue or a loose teeth. There can be paresthesia involved. Element of inferior alveolar nerve is there. The restricted tongue movement if it is in the floor of the mouth. There can be submandibular sinusitis. In a cancer case and after it has been diagnosed, how do we proceed with the treatment plan? For this, you need to know the workup and staging. This is more important and relevant because if you want to refer a patient after your diagnosis, after your biopsy, after your confirmation, so this staging mentioning in a case sheet will add more value because it is universally followed as per the WHO guidelines. So what do you do for workup? You do a complete physical examination, you do a dental examination and pre-op dental care, you do a radiographic evaluation, then you do a biopsy to do the histopathological examination, you evaluate the general medical condition and nutritional status of the patient, followed by the evaluation of the presence of predisposing factors for carcinoma. Examination of skin, face and scalp has to be carried out. When you are examine for the mucosa of the oral cavity, examine for the oropharynx, palpate for the cervical lymph nodes, salivary glands and cranial nerve examination has to be carried out. Paresthesia of the nerves innervated by the trigeminal nerve has to be evaluated for any form of deformity. Then mucosa of the nasal cavity, nasopharynx, hypopharynx and larynx has to be examined to confirm any change from the normal architecture. So this slide will help you to have a self-examination which you will be learning when you come here. This is the most important one which helps you to self-examine for the mucosa and gingiva first, followed by lip, then buccal mucosa, then posterior gingiva, vestibule, anterior gingiva, hard palate, tonsillar area, then followed by soft palate, the vertical surface of the tongue, and then floor of the mouth, and then the lateral border of the tongue. So what is T&M staging? So this you have already read in your year 3 in your oral pathology. So T stands for tumor. So carcinoma in situ, T1 if less than 2 centimeter, T2 if more than 2 centimeter, less than 4 centimeter, T3 more than 4 centimeter, T4 massive tumor that invades adjacent structure. So this is a pictorial representation of T1, T2, T3, T4, which is again divided into A and B. So you can see a lesion or a tumor less than 2 centimeter in T1 in first picture, which extends in the retromolar trigone region, followed by T2 which is 2 to 4 centimeter in the floor of the mouth, T3 more than 4 centimeter which extends below, T4 and T4A and B which invades in the adjacent structure, this which is less extensive, which is B is more extensive, obstructing more of the adjacent structure, whereas the tumor mass is extending in all the directions. Before we see the nodal involvement, we just need to know what are the areas where the node is going to drain. So this slide will give you an idea what are the different levels of node that are present and where they drain into. So you can see the marking of the anterior scalp, forehead, parotid, posterior half of the scalp and posterior aspect of the external ear. So you got submandibular 1A and 1B. So level 1 will be submental and level 1B will be submandibular. So level 1 itself has got A and B. So the level 2 has got A and B, which is just below the skull base. So it's called upper jugular. Level 3 is the hyoid and the cricoid level. It is called middle jugular. Level 4 is lower jugular. Level 5 will be posterior triangle. And level 6 will be upper visceral or pre-laryngeal area. So you can see on the right column that these are the areas which the nodes are going to receive their drainages from, and those are the levels where the nodes are present. So as I already mentioned, level 1 is submental and submandibular nodes. So submental triangle bound by the anterior belly of digastric and the mylohyoid. One way is a triangle formed by the anterior and posterior belly of digastric and body of the mandible. Level 2 is the upper third, including the upper jugular, jugular diastase node, and the upper posterior cervical node. The region is bound by digastric metal superiorly and the hyoid bone, or the carotid bifurcation inferiorly. Level 3 is middle third jugular nodes, extending from the carotid bifurcation superiorly to the cricothyroid notch. This is a clinical landmark. This can be seen when you do a neck dissection. The inferior edge of the cricoid cartilage or omoid muscle. Level 4 will be lower third jugular nodes. Lower jugular nodes extending from the omoid muscle superiorly to the clavicle inferiorly. So level 5 will be posterior triangle. So the boundary is the anterior border of the trapezius muscle. The anterior boundary is the posterior border of the sternocleidomastoid muscle, and the inferior boundary is the clavicle. Level 6. So level 6, the anterior compartment group comprises lymph nodes surrounding the middle visceral structures of the neck, extending from the level of hyoid bone superiorly to the suprasternal notch inferiorly. So we have seen the levels of node, and in staging what those nodes represent. So the nodes that represent N0 will be no regional lymph node metastasis. So you don't feel or palpate any form of node metastasis in the neck. So if it is going to be N1, then the metastasis is single ipsilateral node less than 3 cm in greater dimension. The metastasis in a single ipsilateral node more than 3 cm but less than 6 cm in greater dimension. Metastasis in multiple ipsilateral nodes, node more than 6 cm in greater dimension. And metastasis in bilateral or contralateral lymph node, none more than 6 cm greater dimension. N3 is metastasis in the lymph node greater than 6 cm in dimension. So in this picture you can see N1 node. This is an ipsilateral node, single node which is less than 3 cm in diameter or the greatest dimension, whereas there is no node on the contralateral side. So N to A is single, 3 to 6 cm. The purple one represents the submandibular gland. So you can see the blue one which is marked is 3 to 6 cm is a single node on N to A, whereas the contralateral there is no node. If it is going to be N to B, on the ipsilateral side there are going to be multiple nodes, and then it's less than 6 centimeter, and then the contralateral side there is no node. If it is N to C, there are bilateral or contralateral less than 6 centimeter. So it is only ipsilateral less than 6 centimeter. You can see two nodes on the contralateral side. So the lesion, the purple one which is marked, will represent the side, and then any node which is more than 6 centimeter, and if there is a contralateral node, then it is N3. So incidence of nodal metastasis is that it is least in the lip. The nodal metastasis is maximum in hypopharynx. So in between you got tongue, gum, floor of the mouth and oropharynx, which has got the sequence of incidence of nodal metastasis of oral carcinoma. So this is an important one to know, that the tumor thickness and the relation to the nodal metastasis and percentage of morbidity. If the tumor thickness is less than 2 centimeter, the percentage of metastasis is 13%. The percentage of morbidity is 3%. If the tumor size is between 2 to 9 centimeter, then percentage of metastasis is going to be 46%, and then the morbidity is going to be 17. If the tumor size is more than 9 centimeter in thickness, then you got a high chance of metastasis, which is 65%, followed by morbidity of 35%. So this clearly indicates that the tumor thickness plays an important role in determining whether there is going to be any nodal metastasis in the neck. So what are the radiological evaluation that you can do for an oral carcinoma? So you can start with your regular basic intraoral periapical, if the lesion, depending upon the lesion, occlusal, panoramic, CT scan, which can have soft tissue and bony windows to show contrast enhancement, MRI, and then you can go for bone scans if bone invasion can be detected earlier than other X-rays. One of the most useful to assess bone involvement of mandible will be a panoramic view, which is commonly in practice nowadays if you want to check for any carcinoma of the mandible. So what are the dental care that you need to provide beforehand before you plan a treatment for such cases who are diagnosed to be oral cancer? Remove all the tooth which has to go for extraction. Scaling and oral prophylaxis has to be carried out. Restorative procedures has to be carried out. Then construction of obturators and splints has to be done. So TNM stage grouping for oral cancer. So you got up to stage 4. So stage 1 will be T1 N0 M0, which is tumor of less than 2 centimeter, no nodal metastasis or no distal metastasis. So no nodal involvement. So you got stage 2, which is T2, stage 3 is T3, or it can be T1, or if there is a nodal involvement. So stage 1 and stage 2, if you look at it, there is no nodal involvement and no metastasis. Whereas stage 3, if the tumor size is big, obviously there will be nodal metastasis, then it becomes stage 3. So all nodal metastasis are stage 3. Stage 4, if the tumor size is big, then it becomes stage 4. If it is going to be N2, it is going to be stage 4A, or any T if it is stage 4B, the tumor, any tumor size, but the nodal metastasis is going to be, so stage 4C, any tumor, any node and metastasis. So if you see any distant metastasis, you can directly stage it to 4C. So what are the treatment options for oral cancer? The first and foremost will be surgery, followed by radiation therapy, followed by chemotherapy. So what will be the treatment modalities that you will decide? A single modality treatment, if it is a smaller stage, like stage 1, stage 2, which is surgery and radiotherapy. Multi-modality therapy or a treatment if the stage is going to be stage 3 or stage 4, which involves surgery, radiotherapy and chemotherapy, depending upon the lesion or depending upon your diagnosis. So the treatment out depends on the type of tumor. So what tumor it is going to be, it's very less aggressive or more aggressive. As we already said, the size of the tumor, which is more important. The thicker the size, if the size is going to be 9 millimeter or more, then the chance of metastasizing to the nodes are high and the prognosis is poor. The location of the tumor is important because this tells you or gives you the post-operative morbidity as well as the quality of life the patient is going to have after the surgical procedure. The thickness of the tumor, as already I mentioned. Neck metastasis, which is the nodal involvement. The poorly differentiated, the outcome is, if there is perineural invasion, then it is, and check for bone and cartilage invasion. So what are the various surgical approaches to the oral cavity if you are planned for a surgical removal of a tumor that is present in the oral cavity? Depending upon the position of the tumor, the approach varies. So if it is going to be a small lesion like this, you can just put a tie in the tongue, whereas in the line diagram you can see a towel clip or forceps which has been used to hold, whereas on the clinical picture you can see a tie has been put and the tongue has been retracted out and then the tumor is expired or surgically excised, which is called peroral. Lower lip split and mandibulotomy. So you can see a submandibular incision is placed, the lip is split, the mandible is swung, and then the access is created for the floor of the mouth. And this is commonly practiced, lower lip split, for any floor of the mouth access or any lesion or a tumor in the retromolar region. So lower lip split and mandibulotomy. So a mandible is also split and swung out to access the floor. A visor flap, again, if you want to access bilaterally, this flap is more commonly used. Upper cheek flap, this is commonly practiced if you want to go for maxillectomy. So this incision is more commonly called as Weber-Ferguson incision. So you can see the lip has been split and then accessed posteriorly. So this is a subtotal maxillectomy on the right side. This cheek flap will help you to reflect for total maxillectomy as well. So this is the marking for the incision. You can see the flap is being reflected. So the total maxilla on the left side is resected. So this is how a marginal mandibulectomy is performed after a lip split. The lip is split, the tongue is retracted, the margin of the bone is left, lower margin is preserved, and the tumor involving the mandible and the floor of the mouth has been excised. This is a segmental resection of the mandible, which is again the lower border is also removed, and then it has to be reconstructed to maintain the integrity or maintain the function. So the difference between marginal mandibulectomy and segmental resection is, in marginal mandibulectomy you preserve the margin, whereas in segmental resection the whole segment is being removed. The surgical management of neck metastasis. There are various types of neck dissection. So this is commonly performed when you see that the nodal involvement is there from the tumor. If there is going to be unilateral or bilateral, or depending upon the level of node which is involved, the type of neck dissection is considered. So radical neck dissection is considered to be a standard neck dissection if you want to resect the lymph nodes in the levels of 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, as well as sternocleidomastoid muscle, the spinal accessory and interjugular vein. So these are the three common structures that will be resected along with the level of nodes, because they are very closely adherent with these structures. Leaving these structures will result in the recurrence. So this picture shows the level of nodes that have been removed, including the submandibular salivary glands, sternocleidomastoid, interjugular vein and spinal accessory nerve. The selective neck dissection type, supraomoid or anterolateral. So it's level 1, 2, 3 are resected. Lateral or jugular, level 2 and 4. Posterior lateral, level 3, level 2 and 5, postauricular and occipital. Anterior compartment and level 6. Selective anterior triangle dissection. So you can see the level which has been removed. Level 1, submandibular and submandibular, upper jugular. Level 2, level 3 is middle jugular or omoid at the level of omoid, lower jugular. Level 4 has been removed. SOND or supraomohyoid neck dissection is the abbreviation for SOND. Level 1, 2 and 3 are removed along with the other structure like submandibular salivary gland. Jugular neck dissection will be level 3, level 2, 3 and 4. MRND, you call it as modified radical neck dissection, is considered as radical neck dissection, removing the lymph node with preservation of at least one of the non-lymphatic structures. So you know those lymphatic structures which we saw already, the three structures, sternocleidomastoid, interjugular vein and spinal accessory nerve. So if any of these structures are being preserved, then it becomes modified radical neck dissection. So MRND, which stands for modified radical neck dissection type 1, spinal accessory nerve is preserved. MR type 2, spinal accessory and interjugular are preserved. Type 3, all the three structures are preserved. So we saw the different types of neck dissection. Probably in the next class, when these neck dissections are indicated, when they are going to perform what type of neck dissection for what type of lesion, will be dealt in detail in part 2 of oral malignancies. Thank you.